A drill is a coordinated, supervised, operations-based exercise. It's normally used to test or train a single specific operation or function in a repeated fashion. A drill should be as realistic as possible, employing any equipment or apparatus necessary for that operation or function. A drill aims to practice and perfect one small part of a response plan or function. As such, it can train staff with procedures, tools or equipment, both current and new. It can test a specific operation or exercise and maintain current skills. Finally, it can also lead to new policies or procedures. If they are required to perform a specific and clearly defined function or task, any member of the operations team involved or deployed in the emergency response should participate in a drill. Drills are typically undertaken where an actual operation takes place, using real equipment in order to provide a high sense of realism. A commonly used drill is a fire drill, which is conducted with staff in a real work environment. For instance, participants working from their own health facilities or directly in the community. It requires the participants to undertake real actions, such as evacuating the building. In public health settings, a drill may consist of donning and doffing personal protective equipment or managing a simulated infectious patient. The drill enables participants to become familiar with the procedure and resources available during an actual response. However, drills can also be conducted in specific training facilities or conference centers to train and practice the specific operations. A drill is generally seen as a one-month project, from conceptualization to post-exercise report. The actual conduct of a drill generally takes from 30 minutes to 2 hours. Often, a drill is repeated multiple times to build familiarity, knowledge, and skill in the predefined task. Given the fact that it is operations-based, it requires more capacity and resources than a tabletop exercise. Staff needs to be well trained in performing the exercise function. A drill is significantly less complex and costly in comparison to a functional exercise or a field or full-scale exercise. Actors, with scripted roles to play, can be used to provide realism through direct interaction with the participants. Simulation exercises often aim to replicate emergency situations with varying degrees of realism. The exercise management team is responsible for the safety of all involved in the exercise. It's essential that this team manages actual and potential health, safety, security, and environmental risks. When working in certain contexts, and depending on the venue or participant's profile, a security risk assessment may be needed to ensure a safe exercise environment. The nature of a given risk could require that the exercise is adapted and measures are put in place to manage the risk. It could mean that the activity is moved to a safer venue, postponed or cancelled. If held in a public space, the realistic nature of a drill can cause panic or alarm in the community. PR and communication can be used to ensure public safety during an exercise drill, by informing the public of the event, managing any possible risks, and reducing public concern or panic. For a drill, the team includes, at a minimum, an exercise director or lead facilitator, an exercise controller, and an exercise evaluator. The number of exercise staff is defined by the number of functions being tested and the technical expertise needed to evaluate and train the desired outcome. The exercise director or lead facilitator develops the main concept and design of the drill. This person defines the project plan and the tasks required to build and implement the drill. This plan needs to take into account all the exercise details and resources. The exercise director often also assumes the role of exercise controller. The role of the exercise controller is to ensure that the drill runs smoothly as it is designed and achieves its stated purpose and objectives. The exercise controller will check in with the facilitators and the evaluation team and discuss any major challenges with the exercise director as required. The exercise controller also supervises and manages any actors or role players, if applicable.
At the front of the room, we will have the exercise controller. So that person is really in charge of, okay, when does the first message goes out to the participant, to who does it go out, who's going there, who's going to be there. So it's really controlling the whole flow of the exercise. We also have an evaluator that is tracking the outcomes of the exercise and also tracking the evaluation forms. And that will, of course, also be very important for the exercise reports and the outcomes.
Evaluators are assigned to capture all the actions, outcomes, decisions, key comments, and challenges during a drill. They are subject matter experts in the area, being tested to correctly assess the success of the tasks being completed and to make specific recommendations. They ensure that gaps between observed actions and expected outcomes are captured. Actors or role players can be used in drills and will often undertake a variety of simulated roles. This could be the role of patients, bystanders, important authorities such as police, military, government officials, or members of the press. Actors will have carefully crafted scripts and will be well briefed. When selecting actors, it's important to have someone who has experience in the simulated event, for instance, a health worker who has seen a real infectious disease case or a person with media training. Finally, observers only observe the exercise, but may submit their observations as part of the evaluation process. Although they do not have an official role in the conduct of the exercise, they can have valuable insights. Observers will not intervene during the exercise, but may be asked to provide their input during the debriefing session. Other roles to consider may include safety and security officers. These people watch the exercise and ensure that all participants are safe at all times. Some drills and other more complex exercises may involve heavy machinery, dangerous goods, or medical interventions. A good safety officer will work with the facilitator to ensure that all people on the site are safe at all times and will undertake a risk assessment before the exercise commences. Debriefing sessions are an essential part of the exercise and should be allocated sufficient time. Each exercise ends with an immediate debrief, also known as hot wash. This debrief is a facilitated process, often conducted by the lead evaluator or facilitator. The focus of this first debrief is to allow everybody an opportunity to provide initial feedback when the exercise is still fresh in participants' minds. It also gives them an opportunity to bring together their thoughts before the formal debrief, and to relax from the often stressful environment of the exercise. If required, it can be done simultaneously in multiple locations by different members of the facilitation team. The hot wash does not include evaluation of the exercise outcomes, nor does it go into the level of detail planned for the main exercise debrief. The main exercise debrief aims to review the objectives of the exercise with the participants. The aim of the debriefing is not to evaluate individual performance during the exercise, but rather to reflect on their experience during the exercise. As such, it helps to identify strengths, challenges, and critical gaps in plans, procedures, and equipment in their emergency preparedness and response system. This can be done through various techniques, such as world cafes or plenary and group-based identification of key achievements, gaps, and recommendations. The aim and methodology of the debrief will be defined by the exercise objectives in the planning stage. Ideally, the exercise debrief includes a way forward or action planning process with clear and concrete actions to improve response capacity. After debriefing with the participants, the exercise management team should have a separate debriefing session. This reflects on the exercise planning and implementation, as well as to confirm responsibilities and timelines for completion of the exercise report. This informal discussion is often led by the exercise director, lead facilitator, or exercise controller. It's aimed at identifying lessons and opportunities for similar future projects. An initial meeting to report back to leadership or senior management is recommended. The purpose of this meeting is to share the initial findings of the exercise, including challenges, achievements, and recommendations. Other goals may include gaining senior management support for the proposed recommendations or the action plan.